Meowlo, meowlo! Welcome back to my second video in this series. Today we're gonna be drawing or updating some more references of my many NPCs from my campaign Speculo. If you haven't watched the first video in this series, I suggest going back and watching that either before this one or after this one. The previous video does give some context on the world, but it's not fully necessary. But we're going to be drawing 3 more of these characters or updating their references. We're going to be tackling Alice Madden, Calamity Swan, and Pepper Piper Pied today. One of them, their name might be a little on the nose, but let's just get into it and see what we have. First, we have Alice Madden. She is my Pookie Bear, my everything. I think out of all the fairy tale members, I think about Alice the absolute most. Lex the second. Lex is from the other video, but Alice I definitely think about the most. She was the first, she was actually the second fairy tale character I made. The first one was Calamity. Almost everything is based around Calamity in this weird way. Teehee. But Alice was the second one I made. She is based off of a mix between the Cheshire Cat, not really much of Alice from Alice in Wonderland, just like the smallest amount, but mostly the Cheshire Cat and the White Rabbit. As such, her hero name is actually Cheshire. Her powers are mostly based around the Cheshire Cat. Her powers allow her to do things such as go quote-unquote invisible, when actually it's a form of camouflage where she blends in with her environment. So if you look really hard, you can just barely see her. She uses this to mess with people all the time, or just give dramatic effect to her entrances or exits, or just kind of use it to spy on people. She loves listening to people and just being in the know about things, but she's not always the biggest fan of directly talking to people. So the best way to do that is to just spy on them. She give it a try. I'm joking. She also has a form of luck manipulation, which I gave to her for the whole effect of, like, you know, Wonderland, the whole madness of random shit happening and nothing really makes sense. She has luck manipulation, so sometimes things just happen around her that doesn't really make sense why they happened like that, but they still happened. As for her personality, she is not very Cheshire personality wise. She's probably more of the White Rabbit. She's very like strict, she's very time based. And when she has things that needs to be done, she wants them to be done in a timely manner when they need to be done. She doesn't like to delay things. She's very straight to the point. She does still have a little bit of a tricky side to her. She likes to pull pranks on people and, like I said, spy on them a little bit. She is a little bit chaotic in that way, but she doesn't like people to know that about her. She likes to be chaotic without people knowing. She likes to hold up this presentation of being like, what? Me? I would never do something like that. When in reality, she most definitely did do it, often placing the blame on things on other people because she can get away with it with her camouflage. A lot of her fellow teammates have been the brunt of taking the blame for her because, I mean, no one else is there. How could she have done that? Just like the rest of her teammates, she also grew up in the bad facility with them, or was always seen as a troubled kid. All 5 of them, for their training years, went to a facility called 921, which is famously known to host troubled kids who are bad or troubled or have done some very serious things, but the facilities don't want to just them, you know? Instead, to give them a chance to still become a hero and redeem themselves. So she's from there, same with the whole rest of them, all 5 of them. Her reasons for being there, I wish I could disclose, but my players don't fully know. She's probably one of the ones who it's harder to tell why she was there, and they don't know yet, so ooh. you know but before that, she switched facilities here and there. She wasn't a big troublemaker in a way where she had to be removed from her place and put in a new one to try to fix the problem or whatever. She mostly stayed in a few of the same facilities. She started in a facility next to her home city called Silva City. A little on Silva City because we have so much time to talk about her. We're going to be getting a lot of lore drops for these characters today. But a little about Silva City. Silva City is seen as like one of the quote-unquote nicest cities in the country. It's like one of their like main cities. It's a city that very much prides themselves on medical care and being clean and having very low crime rates. As such, they also tend to really not like deviants. Silva City is one of the hardest cities for deviants to survive in. Silva City's even broken up into 3 main districts. The Golden District, which are for the ultra rich, the Silver District, and the Bronze District. But I think that's all that's really important about Alice. She grew up in Silva City. She's from the super rich side. She's actually from the Golden District, but despite all that, she became a troubled kid and is now a part of the fairy tale team. She's actually the leader of the fairy tale team, the head of the charge, and all the fairy tellers are still together, mostly because of her and her hard work. Next, we have Calamity Swan. She is... Okay, like I said in the last part, she is the reason why Speculo even existed. I was tossing up the idea of doing a superhero campaign, and then I saw this TikTok that I won't disclose very many details of, but I saw this TikTok about like this mirror character looks around and it just inspired me to make Calamity, and then Calamity being made inspired everything else came tumbling after her. It was like a snowball running down a snow hill. She was the first one, and now we have this whole world with like a million, billion, trillion characters. They don't really know much about her, they as in my players. She's been a mysterious force for a long time. We started Speculo with the Effect, the first campaign, which takes place in 2024, and in 2024 these characters, their characters, are being trained by most of the fairy tale members, but Calamity isn't there. They find out that she's been missing for the past 5 years, and no one really truly knows what happened to her. At least that's what they tell them. And so these stupid little kids are like, let's go find Calamity and be the best heroes in the world, which leads to a lot of hijinks. We have another campaign called Shooting Shards, which takes place those 5 years before she goes missing, where they get to play characters that are in the facility that she's training at before she goes missing, and eventually they will be there for the day she went missing to give them more context and ability to get to know her. This current design is from our current campaign we're running called Once Upon a Tale, which is them when they're in college. Calamity and the rest of her fairy tale team and the rest of the characters we're seeing for this are in college training to become heroes, to become superheroes in the future. But because of her long time of just being someone that they know will go missing or is missing, this is the only campaign where they've truly been able to get to know her. With Shards, it's a little harder because they're like 18-year-old kids, while she's like this grown superhero lady who's training them, so they can't get to know her on a personal level. They can only get to know her on a professional level. But now they're finally getting to know her on that personal level and getting to know who she is and what she does. And she is very slow to open up, probably quicker than most of the other fairy tellers, second to Mitch. then the rest all falls in. But she's slower in the way where she knows she's not supposed to tell people a lot about herself. Her powers makes her extremely powerful and strong, and they can affect a lot of things, and she knows from her own experience and from Alice telling her that she shouldn't just go around telling everyone these things about herself and her powers. So she is kind of in a place where she's forced to be more secretive and quiet about herself. Despite not really liking that, she doesn't care to be secretive, but is forced to. So they don't still know much about her, but they're definitely on the road to getting to know more about her. Actually, one of them just found out a little more about her powers, which is known as the Mirror Realm, a location where inside of a mirror, she can go inside of mirrors and have access to every mirror in the world in just a couple steps and be able to travel and traverse the world in a much quicker form. Kind of think about how Nether travel works in Minecraft, how every like 8 blocks or something like that is like a bunch more blocks in the overworld. Her mirror world is kind of like that. It's very eerie and dark and mysterious, and she doesn't even know much about it herself to even tell them, but she still brought one of them there and explained as much as she could about it. Outside of that, most of her other powers are all also mirror related. She has a mirror on her hip here in this design because that is her main weapon, as all of her powers are mirror related. She can't do anything without mirrors. She is also blind, as a fun little fact. So it makes her powers being based off a reflection in mirrors even harder for her to do, at least on her own, because she can't always tell where she's aiming at or what she's about to do. So she often relies on the rest of the fairy tale team to be her support with her own combat and her own powers. As such, it helps with a lot of their teamwork, even if not all of them get along very well at all times. Just like the others I said, she is also from 921. Before 921, she was actually from a city called Lockwood, which is known to be one of the creepier, weirdo cities. Which kind of fits her perfectly, personality-wise. I don't know if there's really much else I could say about her personality. Oh, she's based off of the magic mirror from Snow White. Hence all the mirror themes, which was one of the biggest challenges for her powers at first. I was like, how do I make powers based off of the mirror? But I think I did a really good job. So she is the magic mirror from Snow White. So, hence the other mirror themes. I wanted her outfit to be more kind of like fantasy-esque, her hero outfit at least, more like, oh, she can be in a fairy tale. A lot of them I kind of wanted that vibe for, but I really wanted it for her in particular. So here I am. I didn't really change her outfit design very much compared to like Alice, where I changed the whole entire hero outfit. I just kind of refined it here for Calamity and fixed it up, made her look a little bit more cleaned up, changed some details slightly. I changed the circles of her gems to teardrops because I think that fits better for certain reasons. I made her little color palettes, little glass shards and everything. Another little fun fact is while she is blind, her eyes, they are very shiny and reflect almost like mirrors. So if you look in her eyes, you just see yourself and anything around you. For more mirror themes. But that is Calamity Swan. I hope you guys like her as much as I like her, and she drives my players absolutely crazy. Next we have Pepper, or as I said in the intro, Pepper Piper Pied. It's very apparent who he's based off of. He is the Pied Piper. He is the most basic character in my formal opinion. I kind of gave them that to him as a personality trait too. He kind of views himself as the most basic member of the fairy tale team, you know, because there's Mitchell Lead Creed, the big werewolf guy. There's Lex Lizzie Queen, this insane, psychotic person who has powers over hearts and a giant scythe, and you have a lot of trauma, guy. There's Alice, their leader, who can go invisible and quite literally manipulate luck and things around them, who is also super rich. Okay, cool, Alice, you know. There's Calamity, who has these cool mirror powers in a whole mirror realm and is literally the strongest member of their whole entire team. And then there's him. He is really good at playing every instrument, like, ever. Wow. And he has rats that really like him. The rats really, really like him. And he can play some special songs that do special things. So basically, he doesn't really feel that special out of the rest of his group compared to them. He can, like, his main weapon is a violin that turns into a crossbow. So he's the second range member of the group, the first being Calamity with her mirror. The rest of them are all close combat, except if you count Alice. But he has his bow and violin, literally bow and violin. And some songs, if he plays, he can give you special effects that mess with you, like make you fall asleep or hypnotize you, things like that. In my opinion, a pretty basic power set. I think of, like, music powers like that all the freaking time, so they're super basic for me and nothing like crazy for me to go raving home about. But him himself, he views himself as, like I was saying, the basic one. He's the second leader in the group. If Alice is away or occupied or can't help them, the rest of the team tends to fall back onto him for guidance and leadership. He learns a lot of what he knows about it from Alice herself and is kind of the most neutral member of the group. Alice is more neutral in a way where she doesn't always care, or maybe she cares too much and is too strict. He's more lean back and willing to let things go with the rest of his friends. I'm watching this video and I just keep seeing how much I struggle. I struggled a lot with his outfit. Side tangent, but his outfit for some reason was the absolute hardest for me. I struggled so hard. I spent like 3 hours on him alone and it was crazy. Usually I'm a really fast artist, but something about him and his outfit I just couldn't get through. I had to get my dear player and editor Nick, hi Nick, to help me and give me advice because I was just struggling. I kept scrolling through Pinterest trying to find inspiration. I kept trying different silhouettes and I'm like, I just don't know. I don't want him to look too formal in his casual wear, but I don't want him to look not formal enough, and I think I found a good place. Then here with his hero outfit, I also changed the silhouette. All of these designs for the Once Upon a Tale cast I did super quickly. I did all like 20, almost 30 designs in like a week or two to try to get the campaign up and running really quickly, which is why I'm sitting here redesigning them all with a little more thought and time in each of them. So his hero outfit was just really, let's be honest, half-assed. I just went right into it with whatever I had on the bean at the time and just hoped for the best. So here I reimagined the silhouette of it. I think this silhouette is a lot better and it looks nicer. Nick did point out that his hero outfit is just the MLM flag personified, and it's not wrong. He is gay. Like this feather here, and then like you'll see I bring the colors back down onto his pants, and I'm just like, wow, I didn't even notice. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna change the colors to make them look better. Gay boy, you know? And it's I didn't mean to, but it works really well. But yeah, he is literally just the Pied Piper. He is the type to, if you do something for him, he expects that like he expects you to expect him to do something in return, and vice versa. If you have him do something for him, he expects you to do something for him in return. Kind of like how with the Pied Piper in the story, they were like, hey, get rid of all these rats and we'll pay you, and then he got rid of the rats and they didn't pay him shit, so he took out, you know, he took his revenge out on them. It's kind of like that. That's kind of a big trait of Pepper's personality, which is a little spoiler for my theorist players, but that's okay. I don't think it's too major. He just really doesn't have much to talk about that they don't know. Well, Calamity is the member that's been gone for the longest. Pepper is somehow the member they know the least about, which puts me in a really awkward place right now for talking about him. Same with in the next few videos with some of these other characters they don't know very well. I'm going to be in a really awkward position, so I might bring in some of my players to talk about them instead of me and hear their opinions on them. But I'll talk more about his actual design here. Here in his hero outfit, I really wanted to put in more music symbolism. I used to be a band kid myself, so I know a little bit about music. I'm not a professional for sure, but I ended up adding the treble clef and the bass clef to his design. I added the bass clef as an earring because I've been picturing the bass clef as an earring since I was young, as a young tuba player. And then I added the treble clef onto his hat, along with in his normal outfit I added the little music note onto his pocket. And then most of his hero outfit is just these furligies, however the hell you say them, you guys get me though, to make him seem more fancy. I also think with the new trim of the coat, it kind of gives more of a music conductor vibe and look. But I added a lot of silver to his design, and the mask, to me, the mask kind of reminds me of Phantom of the Opera, which is another callback for him. He's just such an interesting guy, and they know nothing about him. Oh, it's like, what am I supposed to do while sitting here and talking about him, you know? But I think this is mostly wrapping up the rest of Pepper. His hero name's Lullaby. I don't know how I completely forgot that. His hero name's Lullaby, in reference to music. Anytime he keeps pet rats, he names them after either music or sounds or anything along those lines. He keeps rats pretty often because they adore him. And so do I. Here's Pepper Piper Pied, or PP Pied, as his loving nickname from Nick. And I hope you guys enjoyed him. Okay, well, that is these 3 characters for this video. We got to meet Alice, Calamity, and Pepper. I hope you guys enjoyed them and my chaotic info dump on each of them. Just rambling to myself about these characters, hoping I don't spoil too much. Like I said, if you haven't seen the first video in this series, I suggest going back and watching it. There you can meet the last 2 members of the fairy tale team, Mitch and Lex, and get a little bit of a lore dump on Speculo. And once again, if you guys want to know more about Speculo, feel free to let me know at any point. I would love to make like a whole like in-depth video about like the lore of Speculo so far and the backstory and yada yada yada, with like art in the background or whatever. Next, we're gonna be moving away from the fairy tale team and doing some other people. I'm not sure yet if I want to stick to only doing the Tales members, aka the Once Upon a Tale cast, or I might jump around to some of the NPCs in the other campaigns in Speculo. We'll see. But expect another round of 3 more characters unless I have some more random lore I want to explain. And if you like this video, feel free to, or don't feel free to, just do it. Give me a subscribe, a like, and a comment telling me what you think about these characters, which one was your favorite, and if you would like a deeper explanation of Speculo in the future. For now, thank you to all of you for all of your views and your time and listening to me ramble about nonsense for so long. And remember don't let anyone vibe check you on your birthday because that is just straight up rude. Bye bye.